everyone, welcome to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce. Today we're doing another indie horror spotlight. Today I have with us, he's a screenplay writer, and listen, his script won Best Script at the Magic of Horror Film Festival, which I got to attend and also present that award. And it's called Psychopomp gaikokujin. I think I said it right.
Okay. Close enough.
Close enough. I have with us Jose Montalvo. Jose, welcome to the Horror Realm.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm extremely grateful for being here. Thank you.
You're welcome, man. And listen, it's a pleasure having you on. Now, tell us a little bit about Psychopomp gaikokujin.
Gaikokujin. Yeah. So gaikokujin means foreigner in Japanese, and of course Psychopomp is like a deity that can be evil or it can be good, and basically what it is, it follows the Angel of Death in late 1970s Japan, and the Angel of Death, her name is Azrael in terms of the Islamic name for the Angel of Death, but she goes by Tina, which is Christina, which is the Christian name. But she takes on the Yakuza, the underworld. She's in the Kamikazaki district in late 1970s Japan, which is the poor area of Japan, where the Johatsu, who are called the ghosts of Japan, where they go to disappear. And so basically she's on a journey to find the devil in Japan, and or Satan, and so that's what the story is pretty much about. Yeah,
and it's an interesting story. I'm about to say, what gave you the inspiration for this story?
Well, first and foremost, I love Japanese cinema, and I remember going as a kid to these Saturday matinees with my father. Yes, I'm that old. And I used to see 3 or 4, Asian flicks, Kung Fu, mostly Bruce Lee, and Jackie Chan, and Sonny Chiba. And Sonny Chiba was one of my favorites. Yes. So when Quentin Tarantino did Kill Bill, I was like, that's all, he definitely got his influence from Sonny Chiba. So from there, I wanted to, I'm writing a series of 6 films with the main character, the Angel of Death. And I want all 6 of these films to be set in different locations and written or filmed in those languages. So Psychopomp gaikokujin, even though the script is in English, I want the entire film to be in Japanese. So that's where basically I wanted, to pay homage to the Japanese cinema. And so that's why I wrote the script. That was the basis of placing Tina, the Angel of Death, or Azrael, there in Japan at that point. Because in the script I wrote before called Familiar Realm, she's in New York City, and she's pretty much after the events in that script take place after Psychopomp gaikokujin. So yeah, Takashi Miike is one of the best directors of all time. Sion Sono is one of the best Japanese horror directors. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to make this film the horror genre, whereas in Familiar Realm it's more drama based. It's more it's not as supernatural as this script, but horror, supernatural kind of thing in Psychopomp gaikokujin. So yeah, that's why I went about writing this script. So yeah.
Now, is it hard as a scriptwriter to go from drama to horror?
Yeah, I think in any kind of genre that you write, first you have to be a fan of that genre. And I like all genres. I like comedy, I like drama, I like horror and action, obviously, and things like that. But whatever genre you decide to write as a script writer, those are, I would suggest those are the movies that you watch. So I did a lot of watching of Yakuza movies, as well as horror movies. And it didn't have to necessarily be just Japanese horror movies. I watched all kinds of horror movies to see where I would go with it. So if you stick to a particular genre, make sure you research everything about that genre, where it came from, how to start, what are the best movies to watch, or what are the films that you really loved and everyone hated, but you love those films, and so stay with that. So that's how I think research is a huge part of script writing. So definitely.
And when it comes to horror right now, I mean, for the last, I'll say 15, 20 years, the continent of Asia has been killing it in horror.
Yeah.
I mean they've awesome. Been absolutely killing it. And I understand that you lived a little bit, spent some time in Japan.
Yeah.
What was it like to see this revolution when it comes to horror in the culture?
When I was there, I was a bit too young for that. I've only become a scriptwriter since I turned 50. So the last 2 years, that's what I've been doing. But as far as when I was living there, they are definitely superstitious people. Like, there's no number 4, there's no 4th floor, there's no apartment 4, because that's the Japanese name for death, right? So there's no such thing as a number 4. So they're very superstitious people, for sure. So when I was there, that's definitely, they believe in ghosts and things like that. So, that's definitely where it comes from in terms of horror. Of course, all the atrocities from World War II and things like that. That's where you get like all the monster movies and stuff like that. So, and it just kind of built itself there up to this point where it is now. Like Sion Sono's The Suicide Club is, I think, one of the greatest horror films of all time, where kids just start committing suicide, and that's one of the things that's also a part of the culture. Suicide is also something that's that happens quite frequently amongst the youth there. Well, not overtly frequent, but enough to take notice. So and in Asia, they celebrate. The Bon Festival is a celebration of death, kind of like how they have it in Mexico, the Dia de los Muertos, right? Yes. So that's where PSYCHOPOMP gaikokujin takes place. It takes place during the Bon Festival, the celebration of death. And it's funny because in Japan, they kind of loosely celebrate it. But in places like China, Taiwan, Vietnam, and places like that, they actually stay indoors during this time. They don't want to leave the house, Mm-hmm. So but because I know Osaka, I've been to Osaka, I lived in Japan, I wanted to place her in Japan and give homage to the Japanese cinema for sure. So yeah, it's only getting bigger too. Anime is getting huge, and it's just going to blow up here even more so. And it was coincidental, by the way. It wasn't like, I'm planning this. It's just coincidental. I'm just going based on my own personal experiences and things like that, and putting it in a script.
And I know a little bit about the Japanese culture when it comes to death. So I work in the death care industry here in the States. I'm a mortician. And I remember in my early 20s, Japan was looking for American morticians to come and train their morticians on the American ways of embalming. And I was supposed to go with one of my friends, and I wound up staying, he wound up going. But the way they celebrate, like here in the States, death is so taboo. No one wants to talk about it. It's disturbing. But over there, death is celebrated. And
Yeah.
like morticians are looked at as, like, in this country, how doctors and lawyers are they're looked at.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's death is just a passing into another realm, you know, and for the Japanese culture and, like, for example, the Mexican culture, where it's something to be celebrated. And there are, I'm forgetting now the name of the country, where they actually unbury their dead. They put them in the house during this time of celebration, and they put drinks and food in front of, and then they rebury. Yeah, and then they rebury the dead. I'm forgetting now. I wish I knew. I blank out on these things, but
so I'm not looking it up.
Yeah, you have to, because then they unbury them, and then they celebrate with them for like 5 days, 6 days, or however long the celebration lasts for, and then they bury them back in the ground, and then it's like it's nothing. But could you imagine, as Americans, like, hey, I'm going to go dig up my grandfather.
Yeah.
What are you doing? What are you doing this weekend?
You'd be sitting in jail. Yeah.
Yeah, you'd be sitting in jail. You know. So so it's quite taboo in that respect. You know, like with the Mexicans, they all go to the graveyard. It's like a party. Mm-hmm. It's a huge party for the Dia de Muertos. Just like the Bomb Festival and things like that, where they put sake and some food and things like to pay homage, to pay respect for their loved ones, but also to celebrate their life. The whole idea that we have in the American culture is we go to the graveyard to weep and cry and put flowers on the grave, which I prefer the Japanese way of doing it, which is you celebrate the life that they lived, and the same thing with the Mexican way of doing it. So, and it's funny how you're a mortician and you're a presenter for a horror film festival. It's so
I know, right? And I have a horror YouTube channel too. I mean,
oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's
whole package.
Yes. Now I can imagine. So, because I interview authors and I also interview screenplay writers. But I can imagine it's tough to write a script because I mean there's probably a lot of people out there have great ideas for what they think are great ideas for horror films or just movie in general. But to actually put it on paper and actually have the story and the character development, that really takes a skill.
Well, when I turned 50 years old, I took a year sabbatical. And I was sitting around thinking, what am I going to do? Am I going to create a podcast? Well, there's a million of them. Am I going to start an online educational school because I'm a teacher, an English teacher? But then I was like, I have this story running around in my head. And why don't I just see if I could write a script? And so what I had to do was the first 3 months, I did nothing but research on how to write a script. And I was about to join this course, this script writing course, until I read Paul Thomas Anderson. I read an interview with him. And he talked about he said he has nothing against people going to film school or this and that and the other. But he said, if you want to learn how to be a scriptwriter, go to all your favorite movies, go to all your favorite directors, and watch their films. And then pick out the screenplays you really love the most. And then find out who those screen writers, what they wrote. And then go watch those movies. So that's what I did for 3 months straight. I was watching movies all the time, and I was a cinephile anyway. So I started writing Familiar Realm, and that took me 8 months to write, because I also had to go along with Joseph Campbell's The Hero's Journey and see what that was about, because I never even knew that, and also Stephen Pressfield's The War of Art, talking about resistance, like when you're ready to write, why people get writer's block and how to get over that and things like that. So the first script took me 8 months to write. When I wrote PSYCHOPOMP gaikokujin, I wrote it in 3.5 weeks. So it wasn't just about, it wasn't because, oh, I'm experienced, I wrote with one script. No, it had nothing to do with that. It was more like I wasn't afraid to tackle it this time. I didn't have that fear or that resistance in tackling it. I just wrote. Whatever stayed on the paper, stayed on the paper. Whatever scenes didn't, make it, didn't make it. And that's one thing that I learned in that journey with my first script, Familiar Realm, is that there are certain scenes you can't marry yourself to, even though you love those scenes. You just have to write the script and then start chiseling away to make a statue out of it. And pretty soon it will be. Psychopomp I got lucky with, because that was like lightning in a bottle, the finger of God, so to speak. With this new script that I'm writing with Azrael and this Angel of Death, it's now taking me almost 7 months to write. So the script writing experience is a roller coaster ride. So if you're going to be a script writer, be prepared to go on that journey, because it's going to surprise you at every turn, and that's the best part of it. No experience is the same when you're writing a script, in my eyes, even though I'm relatively new to this whole field. So yeah, have fun. That's what I say. Have fun, relax, and watch as many movies as you can in accordance to what you're writing at that moment. So yeah.
It must be pretty awesome to be new at this, fairly new at this, and like you're getting praise and accolades. I mean, Magic of Horror Film Festival. Listen, it's one of the it's one of the premier film festivals out there. It must be an amazing feeling.
Oh, it's been awesome. So we the script came out in April, which was our first putting it out there. And since April 20th, I believe, of this year, we've won 24 awards.
Wow.
And so it's been exciting. I won the Paris Film Cinema Festival and the World Film Festival in Cannes, and then of course the Magic Horror. So it's like, wow, this has been a great ride and experience. And I came in as a semifinalist for the Big Break contest with Psychopomp. With Familiar Realm, I came in as a finalist in the top 5. So all those, all I was looking for when I was writing the script was just to let it out. My first script, Familiar Realm, just to let it out and see if I get, even some minor accolades or some people telling me, it's okay, this and that and the other. But when I won the Los Angeles Film Awards with Familiar Realm, I was like, oh, I don't know, maybe I have something here. And then with Psychopomp, it just started rolling more and more and more. And I think horror right now is kind of the trend. But I didn't write a horror film because of that. I wrote it because, the Angel of Death, where am I going to place her? Or I'm going to place her in beating the Yakuza, taking on the Yakuza, taking on Satan, and this and that and the other. So, and trying to rid the world of evil. Which, good luck with that. Even the Angel of Death can't do that. Yeah.
So, Jose, I'm a filmmaker, and I say, listen, I love this script. I want to buy it off of you. Would you want a hand in the process of the film being made, or would you just be okay with just stepping back and letting that filmmaker sculpture the film in their vision?
Well, I want to preface it. That's an awesome question. I want to preface it with this. I don't mean any offense to any screenwriters out there right now who are struggling, because I was a professional musician for 20 years. I know what that is like. You're waiting tables, you're cooking in restaurants, you have a dream, and by all means, keep pushing for it and keep going for that. But in my 50s, my early 50s here, I don't need to sell screenplays to eat. So I can do this as I'm moving along, without the pressure and the worry of that. Do I want to become a full screen time writer? Absolutely. Also, I want to be a novelist and a writer and doing other genres. So, with all that being said, these scripts are personal to my heart. I want to direct the films. And I'm also researching on how to direct and also different cameras to use and everything else. I mean, the best tool we have in this world is the internet. It's
Yes,
the biggest library in the world. It's not like back in my time when I had to go to a place, fill out a form, get the ISBN numbers, read it. Everything is at our disposal. But if, for example, this script gets in the hands of Takashi Miike and he wants to direct it, I'm going to be his shadow. I'll let him do whatever. I'll work with him, but I'm going to be in his shadow just observing everything this genius has to do with film. Of course, if, for example, if Darren Aronofsky, who's one of my favorite directors of all time, if he wanted to do Familiar Realm, I'm not going to say no. So, but I have a vision of what I want and how I want the frames to be, and where the camera should be, and all that stuff already in my head. For the scripts, as I'm writing them, and then when I'm reading them, when I'm revising and everything else. So I'm not in any hurry to sell the scripts. I think the average now is like $75,000. And after you pay your agent, your manager, the taxes and everything, you're left with $35,000, so you have to ask yourself, what at the end of the day are you writing it for? Are you writing it for money, or are you writing it for yourself? Which I believe you should, because Takashi Miike says, write the script for yourself. He said, he talked about it. He said, forget the audience and everything. Just write it for yourself, which is something that Jim Jarmusch does. He writes the scripts for himself. So, again, no offense to anyone who's trying to make a living, but how are you making a living? And for your art, what are you doing to sacrifice for it? Because, for example, I'm forgetting right now the scriptwriter who wrote Unforgiven. If you remember Unforgiven with Clint Eastwood.
Yes.
He wrote that script way back in 1976. And he did not want to give it up, but he had to pay his rent. So he sold the script. And the script went through production hell for all those years until Clint Eastwood got a hold of it. The scriptwriter, I'm drawing a blank right now for Unforgiven, said when he sat and watched the film in the theater, he cried because Clint Eastwood kept every single line that was in the script and every scene, because he was so afraid that when he sold it the first time, they would just tear it up and make it some floozy kind of cowboy-esque Western movie, So I think that's a great pain to let go of your child like that, So
because I mean, you if you do something like that, especially you release it to a filmmaker, it's out of your hands at that point. I mean, it's theirs. They could just turn it completely around into something that you never even meant for it to be.
No, they could destroy your vision,
Yeah.
and then, and also, if you've researched, if you've actually, what are the moral, I'm drawing a blank here, but what is the moral of the story? What are you trying to convey that's inside of you? Because every script that a scriptwriter writes, and this is what I believe, you have to put your own personal experiences, thoughts, philosophies into it, and then you give it to someone else, and they're tearing it up, and you're like, wait a second, hold on, we've just lost the moral of the story there. What are you doing to it? No, this is what sells. Okay, but then the whole point is lost, Then at that point, that's what they call the selling out or selling your soul or whatever the case may be. But I firmly believe that at this point in my life, if none of my scripts sell, that's okay too. At least I got it out, and I got it out on paper. Eventually, the world will be coming for them. So that's how I see it, you know.
But would it be a challenge for you right now if, let's say, if a filmmaker came to you and said, "Jose, I want you to write a script"? Would it be hard for you to use someone else's vision and create a story?
I don't think so. I think at the end of the day, I'm still going to put me in it. So, you know, everything will be glossed on the surface, but underneath it are all the layerings of who I am in it. But you'll never know that. You'll never know. So I'll just make sure, hey, here you go. This looks great. And then, you know, you can always do it within the dialogue. You can always do it within the description of the scenes or what you want in them, and, you know, the background and all that stuff. That you can always get away with it. Stanley Kubrick is a genius at that, you know? Yeah, so anything, like The Shining, especially. I mean, there's everything about, quote unquote, the moon landing and all that stuff in there, and his 2001 and all his other movies are in the background. You just don't notice it at first, you know. So I have no problem with that. Absolutely, you know. I can be a script consultant, I can be a script doctor or whatever, but I don't think I have the experience enough yet. So I think I'm still learning this craft, which I think it was Oliver Stone who said, writing a script is easy, but learning how to master it takes a lifetime. I'm always learning, which is great. You know, I love it. But I love this. I love
best
this
part of life,
much.
man. It's the best part of life.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. You just keep learning. Learning.
So I have a question. So why do you think that Hollywood is so terrified or scared to give new script or screenplay writers a chance? Why do you think they go to the same individuals over and over again?
I think it's the money. I think they're scared. You know, it's that fear. Plus, I believe that Hollywood has dug themselves a hole into the DEI and all these things where you have to place a character of ethnicity or orientation, sexual orientation, into the film because they want everyone to see the film. So, you know, there are two things that I can't do anymore. One is the superhero movies. I have superhero fatigue.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people do. Just to give you an example, I fast forwarded through the new Deadpool Wolverine movie. I fast forwarded it through it. I saw certain scenes. I kept fast forwarding. Okay, this is here. This is going to happen here, and this and that and the other, because it's just blatantly obvious. And you know, then they put them in multiverses, which I think is a cop out and stuff like that. So Hollywood right now is suffering due to not only just the writer's strike. They lost a lot of money during that, and then they lost a lot of money during COVID and all these other things. And also, they're trying to, I guess, appeal to everybody. You know, everybody come on in. And it's like, I talked to a friend of mine who's also in the film business, but he does like stock characters and stuff. He's based out of Sweden. And he was like, so Joe, what happens if they want you to throw a gay person in your script? I'll tell them no. That the only reason why, and it's ironic enough, in the last script of this series with Azrael, there is a gay person, but that character drives the story. If it's a person just being thrown, or a character just being thrown just to fill up the color barrier or to fill up the orientation barrier, the audience is going to know that. The audience is smart now. You can't denigrate your audience's intelligence. They know. They're like, oh, this character's just put in there for that reason, you know?
Yep.
So I think we need to get away from that. I think we need to get back to excellent storytelling in Hollywood and let the chips fall where they may. And you'll never know. Like, for example, the Blair Witch Project. No one knew that was going to make the millions and millions of dollars.
Not at all.
No one knew. And these characters were, they weren't very professional actors at that time, and it was mostly improv. Now, Hollywood didn't take a chance on it, right, in the very beginning, and they struggled. But then all of a sudden, people started going to go see it because it was something new. It was something fresh. I'm not doing Captain America again. I don't care what color he is now.
Yes.
Or Spider-Man, who's, Spanish now. That's great. But, who cares? Who cares?
I 100% agree. I 100% agree. And like, there's no creative ideas. It's just taking the same thing and just flipping it just a little bit. And like, I think the audience, including myself, we're just tired of it. We want to see those new, fresh ideas. Now, the big thing in the news is, I don't know if you've seen, but a lot of AI scripts are being written. What do you feel about that?
AI, don't get me started. I'm going to start getting a potty mouth out of here.
Go ahead. This is a show for it.
AI sucks. I'm going to tell you something. So I finished the script. I finished both scripts. I finished Familiar Realm and I finished PSYCHOPOMP, right? And then I had just shit and giggles here. Don't show this to my mom. Out of shit and giggles, I went ahead and put the script through AI. So I'm like, okay, let me see. PSYCHOPOMP's the latest one. Let me put that through AI and this and that and the other. I put it through AI, and the dialogue it came out with was so vapid, so just the emptiness that comes out of it, and then you can, I'm dealing with an AI. This thing has no fucking emotions, man.
Yep.
So like when you see it, then you're like, oh, okay. It's kind of like I think script writers need to not do that. They can use AI, for example, for let's say taking a long description and squishing it down. Which is the standard in Hollywood or standard in scripts. Period. Because as script writers, or what I tend to notice about myself, and I'm speaking about me, is that I tend to write in almost a novel form. And you have to, the sun was setting. That's it. You don't need to describe the colors or anything like that.
Yeah.
So AI can be good for that, but I think AI is better for research. So you can utilize the research, but not all of the research AI does is actually on point too. So you have to double check the AI constantly. So I think that AI is something that we should not. I'm against it. And if Hollywood, which it tends, the trend is tending to go that way, they're going to see that AI, that moviegoers are not going to relate to it. Eventually, they'll be like, "What the hell was I watching this for?" It makes no sense. So I don't know until I see something that's like really moving and striking to me, and like, oh, AI did this, really? No, I don't think so. There's nothing like the human emotion. There's no substitute for it.
I 100%, because I'm not gonna say the name, but I saw a AI script horror movie, and I am telling you, there was no emotion. Well, you're saying there was no emotion, like it was like a family in a house, and each the members of the family are dying, but the way the characters were reacting, no human being act like that. You know what I mean? It was just very like, oh wow, like it was like, what the fuck is this? And I've read horror books, indie horror books that were written through AI, and it's just like it drags. It feels like a robot wrote it.
Yeah, AI is not good. Don't even put your script into AI to revise the script. You have to do the work. There's no such thing as a shortcut. You must do the work yourself. I think A Familiar Realm went through something like 60 revisions, and with PSYCHOPOMP, I of course I was drilling through it, but it went through like maybe 15, 20, but I was working 8-10 hours a day doing it. I wrote that script in 3 different countries. I wrote it in Saudi Arabia, Lisbon, Portugal, and in Orlando, Florida when I saw my family, and then back again in 3.5 weeks. But I was constantly at the script. I didn't even get to see Lisbon. I was just sitting there with a bottle of wine, a glass of wine, and just typing away. But and then revising because I tried to cheat. I tried to put it, okay, maybe it's going to revise it for me. And man, it was, I was like, what is this? This is worse. This is crap.
It's not human. It's not human. It's not. But I even hate the AI. I see a lot of filmmakers and even authors using AI covers and posters, and they even look terrible. Like it just looks artificial. Like it looks like AI did it. I don't know how to explain it. It just has this look that looks.
No, get a graphic designer to do your stuff. Get your posters done. That's what I did. I looked at the free websites and stuff that you can pull the pictures from because I don't know many graphic designers. And at the time I was in transition to a new job, so I couldn't afford a graphic designer. Mm-hmm. So. But they were great, and then you can do it on your own. You can put it on your laptop, and then you can, do Photoshop and this and that and the other. You could do it on your own. You have to do the work. There's no such thing as a handout in this life, and there's no such thing as a shortcut to creativity. And by the way, you cheat yourself. If you don't do the work yourself and you have this AI thing do it for you, that's cheating you because of all the potentiality that you have inside you. That's this Pandora's box of creativity cannot come out. You don't know the road of self-discovery until you put yourself on that road. And that's the greatest part about being a writer, a musician, an artist, or whatever you want to be.
I agree. I mean, I'm pretty sure you've done the same thing. I've cheated on tests in school, and
I was the best.
Yeah, me too. But even if you get an A, if you got that A plus or 100% on the test, you're like, yes, I passed. But when you actually study and actually got that A, it's a different feeling. It's a different feeling. You're proud of yourself.
Absolutely. I got an 80 on a chemistry test. I hated chemistry. I couldn't stand chemistry. So I always used to cheat. I used to have the rolled up notes and with the formula, and all this stuff. But when I didn't do it and I got an 80, I felt prouder of myself than I did. And at the end of the day, if you look at it, how much energy do you spend trying to cheat as opposed to how much energy you spent being creative? And when I was trying to do this AI thing to revise PSYCHOPOMP, it took me probably 4 hours, 5 hours. And at the end of the day, it came out as a dud. I could have spent that 4 or 5 hours doing it myself with my own creativity, with my own innate talent and things like that. So you lose a lot when you cheat. And writers will find that out soon enough. Great writers.
Yeah.
They will, for sure. So
I hope it's not a thing of the future when it comes to AI and creativity. Listen, I'm not against AI, but not when it comes to creativity. I think that's for humans to do. And
AI wouldn't have been created without the imagination of someone else, of a human being creating it, right?
Correct.
So AI is a tool that you can use like the internet, as long as you use it responsibly, but not to hinder or substitute your own wonderful creativity and imagination. And that's what puts you on a path of self-actualization, self-realization, towards this higher level of whatever you're trying to achieve. And the journey itself is amazing if you're doing it yourself with no shortcuts. It's going to be bumpy roads. It's not easy. How many musicians in the world are there? How many songs are written in the key of G? How many scripts are out there? I think I think at one point, what scared me the most is when we did the Big Break contest and we submitted Familiar Realm. There was something like 18,000 scripts in competition. And I was like, what the hell is this, man? How many people write scripts? Well, I don't know what the Hollywood, I think it's like 60,000 a year they get or something, or 50,000 scripts a year Hollywood gets.
Like, that's a lot.
That's a lot, competition, right? But you have to trust in the process of your own creativity and imagination. So if you submit a script that's written by AI with your name on it, well, they're going to know. Everyone's going to know. So, yeah.
And then at that point, your whole reputation is gone.
Yeah. Then then you just shot yourself in the foot. No one wants to work with you. Mm-hmm. Even if you're a professional scriptwriter right now, sitting and writing a TV show amongst other, screenplay writers, and you come with an AI, and look at what I wrote yesterday. Everyone's gonna be like, "That's bullshit, man! Come on, I did this. I did this 2 days ago, and AI spit out the same thing. Come on now, it's like, come on, man." Yeah. So I'd be hard pressed to find someone as great, as amazing as Quentin Tarantino saying, "Yeah, AI is good." Could you imagine that? I would never see that. No way.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you something, Jose. I found this out recently. Let's say recently within the last year. So I'm 42, right? So I'm a little bit behind you, right? And so when I went to college and I wrote a paper, I had to go and I had to reference my sources. I had to do all this shit, right? But it came from here, right? The paper. Listen, I'm not going to say, by the way, yeah, you watch my show, but I'm not going to call you out. But there's someone who I know, they're going to college, and they show me that, like, there are websites now, like, and majority of college students use them, where you have your topic, you submit your topic, and you can pay someone $25, and they will write you, depending on what grade level you want, they will write you that paper. And I'm like, holy shit, this is some bullshit.
Yeah, oh yeah, I've got students who've moved on, to higher tertiary schools, and they're trying to get their bachelor's or their master's, and they ask me to write their paper for them. Obviously, they're foreign students, right? Because I teach ESOL. Mm-hmm. That's what I've been doing for 30 years. And I tell them, yeah, no problem. It's $150 a page. And whatever grade you get, that's the grade you get. And I'm like, how long? And they're like, yeah, but Mr. Montalvo, it's got to be 20 pages. I'm like, well, then you do the math. And they're like, well, I can't afford it. I'm just a student. Can't you give me a discount? I'm like, yeah, I can give you a discount. How about this? You do it on your own. And then I'll go ahead and edit it for you, and I'll check it with you and this and that and the other. Because now it came from you. What are you going to do after this? So I tell my students, okay, so let's say I write the paper, I do it for free. What are you going to do after this? What's going to happen once you get that degree? Did you earn it? And then when you get into the field, when you get into the actual work field and you're an engineer, you're a civil engineer or whatever you are, electrical engineer, what are you going to go ahead and, put the electrical system in a building that's going to catch fire? Because you didn't really do the work. I mean, I'm not doing that,
But it's scary, though. It's scary that now you can earn a degree without earning a degree.
How many are there? But, you can see right through that. You can see it. Eventually, people will see it. They'll see right through it. They'll know. Like, if right now, if we were doing this interview and we're throwing camera work at me, like, Joe, what do you think of this camera? Or what do you think of that camera? I don't know. Like, I'm still researching that part of everything, and, wide shots, narrow shots and things like that. I don't know those yet. Right now I'm just writing screenplays, and this is my entry into this foray, but I'm excited to learn about that stuff on my own too, but there'd be no way I could fake my way through that. I'm not going to, oh, yes, you should use this camera on, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, I looked it up 5 minutes ago. Like, come on, Come on, man, you bullshit. Who you bullshitting, man? Come on, Kodak has not been in existence in a long time. You know. So
I
come on
agree.
now.
I agree. But I'm just like, damn. How come that wasn't around when I was in college? But at the same time, I'm glad it wasn't, because I would not learn shit. I wouldn't know shit. I would just have a degree just to show off, and it would be worthless, like a piece of toilet paper.
Yeah, it'd be terrible. And you know, obviously you can't fake your way into being a mortician. Otherwise, you stitch the nose next to the eye, and they're like, "What the hell happened?" You know, what's going on with my dad over here? What's going on? You know,
That's right.
You know, why is his nose upside down?
That's right. That's right. I mean, there's no way. I should say, real career professions. There's no way to cheat. There's no way to cheat. Now, if
there's
you
no
want to,
way.
if you want to cheat your way into, I don't know, something, I can't, bird watching or something. But even then, you can't cheat your way, because sometimes I ask you, what kind of fucking bird is that? And you'd be like, well, that's the big red schnauzer or something. Like,
Yeah.
there's no way to cheat into something that, if this is a career path that you want to go into, there's no way to cheat it. It's hard work, learning, and perfecting it.
Yeah, and like I said, do the research. You know, for example, I want to novelize these scripts, so I have to get back to where I was in college, because I was an English major in college, and like, okay, now I got to get back and I got to start reading novels again. You know, like and seeing how it's constructed from all the greatest novelists in order to novelize these scripts. Because I don't want to just, you know, I've seen novels based on scripts before, you know, and they're just hokey. They're kind of written very elementary, I would say, you know. There's no real in-depth to them. You know, it's not like, you know, it's going from like a Stephen King novel to a screenplay, you know, or vice versa. You know, it just, I want to make it truly have just as amount of substance as the script does, you know, and probably you know, obviously adding more. So when people see the movie, they're like, I really want to know this. And then it's in a novel, you know, so there's no getting away around that either. You know, you have to do the work. You have to learn. You have to go back and research. And that's the fun, though. You're missing all that great, awesome energy and time doing it. It is. It's great. It's awesome. Because, like, it's wonderful.
Because I've been doing this YouTube channel. Listen, I don't know anything about YouTube. I've been doing this for a little bit over a year, right? Went in completely blind, and I was like, screw it. But if you watch my first video, which I please don't watch, but if you watch my first video and you watch now, you can see that, I mean, I started picking up things. I picked up lighting and you know, and hey, put the microphone close to here, and like, it's just certain things that I just learned over time. And
yeah, look at Joe Rogan. His earlier podcast, his first podcast. I mean, I know they were having fun and doing it as a joke, but it was nowhere near what it is now. You know, and you know, obviously over time, you know, it started to take shape because you obviously had something there. So that's the whole point on this path of being a script writer. For me, the journey is everything. And when you were asking me before, well, Joe, what happens if, you know, a filmmaker wants your script or whatever? That is not really what I'm focused on. I'm focused on the process, not the outcome. For me, the process is everything. If I've written a great script that I feel is great in my eyes, and I submit it to some festivals and stuff, and they're like, yeah, you got this award, blah, blah, blah. That's awesome. That's awesome too. But the process of it is, I'm proud of the work I've done. Whether or not anyone else is proud of it, that's for them to decide. It's none of my business after that. You know?
Exactly.
So Yeah, the process is everything. Don't forget the process.
The process is most important to me. Jose, this was fun, man. This was a fun conversation, and you came in nervous too, man. You were nervous, and you did a great job.
Oh yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, I this is my first one. This is my first big one. You know,
this is the easiest one to do, man. I tell you, man, this is the easiest.
Oh, it was. You were lovely, making me feel relaxed and comfortable. Thank you so much for that. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Now, Jose, where can everyone find you and your work?
Right now, I'm on Film Freeway. That's where I'm on. I'm also on Coverfly. So if you filmfreeway.com, you can check me out there. Also, if you want to check out any of my music, it's you can Google Swan Singer. It's one word, Swan and Singer, one word, Swan Singer Music. You can Google that. But for my scripts, just go to Film Freeway, and then my email address is there, and it's montavelscripts@gmail.com if you want to inquire more about it, and please do.
Yes,
I'm game, you know, sharing is caring.
Exactly. By the way, I want to thank Magic of Horror Film Festival for arranging this.
Yes,
they're
thank you so much.
There. And if you're a filmmaker, scriptwriter, definitely, they are one of the legit film festivals out there, and they've been amazing.
Their communication is wonderful.
Yes,
hands down, one of the best. You know, as far because I've written before. I've written other film. Hey, what's going on with the results? No answer for 4 weeks, like almost a month. You know, but they were right on. The next day, I got the response right away. They were very professional, just excellent all the way around. I can't support them. All the best for them, absolutely, because they're just amazing. Thank you so much.
Yes, and listen, thank you as well, Magic of Horror. All right, listen, everyone, thank you for coming to another edition of the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and that is Jose. We'll see you next time.
See ya. Thank you so much. Magic of Horror. Yes.
Yes, Magic of Horror.